Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second and last day of the Commonwealth e-Governance Forum. My name is Aline Kabatende. I'm going to be your MC for today. As we are already 15 minutes late, let's get the show started. So on the agenda for today morning, the first topic is going to be future-proofing M-government solutions. And this is going to be led by Mr. Patrick Nyirishema, who is the Director General of the Rwanda Regulatory Authority. Later on in the morning, we shall look at e-democracy and governmental development before we break off for lunch. And then we shall come back, convene, and talk about rural development and e-government services. In the afternoon, we shall look at accessible e-governance, empowering people with disabilities through ICT, which I think is a very important topic. And then we shall have the closing ceremony led by Honorable Minister of ICT of Rwanda. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Mr. Patrick Nyirishema, who is going to introduce the speakers and the presenters for the session Future-Proofing M-Government Solutions. Patrick, the floor is yours. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you, and please clap for yourselves for being here on time. We expect more people to be joining us, but since we have a full day, we have to get started. As introduced by Aline, I'm Patrick Nyirishema. I'll be chairing this session. A very interesting session, which is about future-proofing M-government solutions. We're going to start with 4 presentations. They're all PowerPoint presentations. So allow me to introduce the speakers. I'll ask them to remain where they are within the audience, since we're going to start with the presentations. And only when we get to the panel discussion, then I'll invite them to take the stage. So allow me to give you brief bios for the speakers for this session. So we have, and if I pronounce some of these names 70% correctly, please bear with me. So we have Olusegun Onigbinde, who is the lead partner, Budget IT Republic of Nigeria. If you could show yourself to the audience so they see where you are. Round of applause. So he's a graduate of Electrical and Electronics Engineering from the University of Agriculture, Abukuta. Olusegun has sound experience in data visualization, analytics, strategy, and business development while working with 2 of Nigeria's leading banks. Being a firm adherent of open data and how it guarantees a transparency and initiates communities to action, he co-founded a civic startup in Nigeria named Budget IT. I'll not read his entire bio that I have, but I just want to mention that he's also a consultant to DFID, that is from UK, on federal reform projects. He's also a recipient of Ashoka Fellowship, 2012, Nigeria Future Awards, and Knight Fellow with the International Center for Journalists. He believes that deepening the public involvement based on empirical facts is key to a better society. He lives in Nigeria, in the city of Lagos. I believe this is the largest, most popular city in Africa. And we'll hear from him as the first speaker. A round of applause for him again. Well, the second speaker is the usual suspect, and I don't think I need to introduce him, and that is Professor Tim Onwin. He was introduced yesterday. He spoke, so we don't need to introduce him again. We'll hear from him. He'll be the second speaker. Then the third speaker is Oke Lutzma. He's a country director, United Nations Development Program. He was assigned as the UNDP country director in Rwanda on 1st March 2011. Prior to his appointment in Rwanda, he served as UNDP Deputy Director General, Country Director in Khartoum, Sudan for 4 years. Prior to that, he served in many senior positions within the UNDP, including at the in New York headquarters as well. He has served in Uganda. He's quite widely experienced and definitely will add a lot to our discussion this morning. I want to finally mention that he's a graduate from the Free University in Amsterdam with postgraduate studies in economics and also a master's degree in business administration from the Nudelish Hodge School. I think that's when I got it 20% correct. So we'll hear from him. That will be the third presentation. The fourth and last presentation is by Dominic Muvunawandi, who is from Rwanda. He's from the Faculty of Geoinformation Earth Observation, Department of Natural Resources Management, University of Twente, and Department of Land Surveying, Ruhengeri Institute of Applied Sciences. This is in the northern part of Rwanda. So Dominic is the Managing Director of Smart Farming Rwanda Limited. He holds an MSc in Geoinformation Earth Observation for Natural Resources Management. He's currently the Assistant Lecturer at Ruhengeri Institute of Applied Sciences. That's the Department of Land Surveying. He's also a trainer in GIS, Remote Sensing, Web 2.0, and social media for social transformation development. He's currently a representative of Challenge Future in Rwanda, a youth think tank and global competition, online community and platform for dialogue aiming at promoting collaboration and innovation for world sustainable future. Okay, a round of applause for Dominic. So without taking any more time, I just want to call upon the first speaker, Olusegun Onigbinde, who will talk about using mobile technology to access and track public budgets. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here this morning, and it's also great to be the first speaker, not after lunch, where people are always wary of speaking after lunch. My name is Olusegun Onigbinde. I lead a civic organization in Nigeria called Budget. We started in 2011 when what we were thinking about was how do we use technology to foster engagement between citizens and the public institutions. And this whole idea was because we found that things were becoming too difficult for people to understand. We are in the world where we all agree that attention span is very, very short, and a whole lot of people want to get the information fast. And also there's a literacy challenge across the society. A lot of people can't really connect to how these things are that difficult. Having worked in the bank, having done some work on public sector consulting, I just had that social urge to go ahead and do this for the community themselves. So we had this bulky document from the House of Reps about fuel subsidy theft in Nigeria, and nobody could read the 408 document, 209, but if you had all the appendices, it was over 400 pages. And we decided to simplify this in an infographic. And so we found, let me go back. Okay, we found that citizens and governance. Citizens yearn for public data. We are in the democracy in Nigeria that is evolving and it's getting improving, and people are asking questions. Because when we got back to democracy in 1999, we had a military dictator who come back, who was General Olusegun Obasanjo. So the debate in democracy was not really that reinforced. But now that we have more civil people, civilians in government now, more people can now talk. The social media has also distributed that freedom strongly. And a lot of people want factual discussions, want the facts themselves. And so we understand that citizens want data. And one of the turning points then was the project called Occupy Nigeria, where citizens were protesting against increased fuel subsidies. Okay. So difficult to understand. That was our first work. And we always just go ahead and do it in infographics. So we take data from government websites, we knock their doors through FOI, and we try and simplify that into what everyday people which citizens, irrespective of their literacy class, can understand. And this is enforcing debate and raising questions and improving the society. For example, this was an infographic on the vice president who wants to spend 7 billion naira, which is, if you put it in, which is like $30 million on $3.5 million on his lodge, on his guest house, and a lot of questions were asked, and this provoked a whole lot of questions about it. So we need public data. We needs that engagement. We need to use that engagement. People need it. Government needs it. The people, the market women, the people, the grassroots people need it. The media needs it. The businesses need it. And so we use technology to connect that to them, and that's why we come to mobile. And when we have seen, the mobile is very, very powerful. So when we started our work, what we were basically doing was just on the web. And when we moved to mobile, then we shot up by over 400% because Twitter is our biggest platform. And because Twitter was our biggest platform, most people who access Twitter and social media always do this through their mobile. So our site was not mobile friendly, but we got tired and said, how can we use mobile to deepen this? And we're getting in mobile. And now we're even working around doing things around SMS shortcodes where you can send your area to an SMS. And when you send your area, like I send my area in Kigali, and you can get all the project on an alert about all the project that government is supposed to deliver within your environment. We are doing the telcos have been worried about doing this because they worry about, it's not going to have a backlash, but we are on the last stage of discussions now, where we just want people to send in an SMS query and they can get all the things they need. Web has always been there. But beyond this, we find out that access to the budget alone is not good enough. What also matters is that people should be able to track government projects. So you will see the budget in nice, colorful infographics. You see it in neat ways, but can you track it? And can you report it? So we built this tool, and you can visit the website. It's very simple. It's called tracker.ng. It's a Nigerian website that we built, and which also can be scaled across Africa. And what we try and do is citizens should be able to track how government project works. From the beginning to the end, you should be able to see, for example, this is a project, and this is a comment by a citizen, which says, as of August 2014, when our tracker staff visited the community, this project has not been done. After our intervention, our tracker staff went there on the 15th of November and discovered the bus bowl has been fixed. So what we do is, once we get this project, we link it up to government institutions. We, on a consistent basis, send them emails, text messages, and before you know it, something really happens. And sometimes nothing really happens. I need to be very factual about that. So that is what we have tried to do with Tracker NG. We have a story. We have a video coming up next week to show our impact story. We also work on extractives. Being an oil-driven economy, Nigeria also needs to fix its extractives. So we have been doing a countdown for oil and gas in Nigeria. You can visit the site yourbudget.com/oil, or meet me at the end of this presentation. I can show you. We're doing a countdown on oil to say how long would Nigerians' oil last, and so that we can make sure that the gains are well distributed and well used. So that's also part of engaging people and making sure that we can raise the debate. And these are things that are mobile friendly, and people are really, really excited about it. And say, if oil is going to run out in 50 years, what are we doing with what we have right now? So the question continues about what we're trying to do, and which is about using mobile technology, using web technology, using access to technology devices to make sure that we deepen governance, we make sure that transparency is more entrenched in Nigeria, and citizens for once have their voices to be counted. Thank you very much.
I think he deserves another round of applause for being very brief and to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now welcome Professor Tim Unwin, the Secretary General of the CTO, to do the second presentation. Tim, you're welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Mwaramutse, and may I thank once again Rwanda Online for the splendid party last night. Okay, this presentation was written by Thomas, who has collaborated with the CTO in delivering a M-governance program in Vanuatu, another Commonwealth country. And what I'm doing is really just presenting this on his behalf, because unfortunately at the last minute, he wasn't able to be here. So that is the outline of the presentation, and in the end we will talk very briefly about the potential that similar methodology might be applied in Rwanda. To begin, just to reiterate that governance brings together the administrative system, political system, and civil society, and much else besides. And mobile governance, M-governance, is just a subset of that. Whoops, we're running. And the World Bank argued a couple of years ago that there are three key roles to supplement, expand, and innovate, and MGov can contribute in this way. I should say that this is a presentation Thomas wrote for 20 minutes, and I've got 8 minutes to do it in, so I'm going to be rushing through some of these slides, but you can read them much more quickly than I can. So to begin with the idea of the project, when we worked on in Vanuatu, it was a collaborative project, and really developing a MGov strategy for the islands that could be extended more widely in other areas of the Commonwealth should countries wish. And this is the broad outline of the methodology. There was a research review, conceptual framework, and policy review, and that led into the strategic knowledge base and the selection of the strategies that was then rolled out in the context of Vanuatu. And a key thing to mention here, it was very much built from the bottom up in consultation with the various stakeholders involved. The toolkit that was developed, and the argument is that this was very much driven by the UN University with an intention that it could be rolled out elsewhere. You can see the themes that were included in the initial research review, very much grounded in existing good practices that could be drawn on and applied. Second stage was the development of a conceptual framework involving the institutions, the innovation system, infrastructure, and the various services and apps. And out of that, there was a view about how, as we've heard in the previous presentation, the use of mobiles in good governance could have a real development impact. And then there was the policy review, which drew on a range of other policies in neighbouring islands and other parts of the world, and again, were this methodology to be applied in other larger countries, then of course the similar policies could be explored there. And that just gives you an overview of the policy instruments that were particularly focused on, that were seen as being good practice, particularly the work in Malta, Singapore, but also other parts of the world. And then the methodology was really developing around the knowledge base, and these were the strategy knowledge base elements, an example of some of them that we focused on. This is. Should we try another clicker? Yes. And that then, out of this, there came the selection of the strategy to be adopted, and again, that's just one of the. We'll get there. It's just, well, I'm the one who's having problems with this, isn't it? And very detailed, the actual slide there isn't really able to show you a great deal. And so that was the overall framework, and how we rolled it out in Vanuatu with the government and people there is on the right-hand side. I just want to summarize some of the elements there. The context, and again, one of the fascinating things about the Commonwealth, we moved from countries the size of India down to tiny island states. And if you think about how you deliver e-services in a world like that, where it's a very scattered population, difficulties of reaching the distant islands, and clearly mobile solutions are very helpful in that context. But subsistence agriculture dominating, real issues with gender, violence against women, and there's sort of quite a wide range of things that were tried to be tackled within this policy and framework. Oh, come on. Sorry about this. Robert, I think the other one was actually probably better.
Really? Maybe I should stand nearer and then you just tell me when you
No, we'll sorry. No, does the other one there? Okay. Right. And so this is the way in which the mGov strategy was fitting into the wider policy. I think that's a key point that must always be addressed. You have your national ICT policy, which has different elements, and it's very, very much key to the success of any initiatives that you have a joined-up approach. And these were the stakeholders that were particularly consulted and the aim was to work with. And again, another message that comes through that. All too often, ICT initiatives tend to be driven by one government department or one company. And it's critically important to bring all of those together in any unified policy. It built on quite a lot of considerable local knowledge that had been developed over the last decade. And these were then brought into the core elements that the government wanted us to explore. And then finally, the strategy and its implementation. As you can see, quite comprehensive, difficult to see the detail on the slide, but the full presentation will be available on the CTO site shortly. So the real conclusion to bring this up to date and here in Rwanda, the UN University and the Commonwealth Secretariat as well are very interested in supporting other countries who might adopt a similar kind of process, but actually delivering it within a very different context. And some of the discussions already started over recent months about how this might be supporting some of the work ongoing in Rwanda, and a range of sort of 5 activities moving forward that we could explore together, eventually building a policy implementation plan for mGov here with colleagues in Rwanda. And the kind of duration, development of this initiative would be relatively short, in sort of half a year's development, but obviously then rolling it out takes very much longer. So to draw to conclusions, the mGov toolkit that the UN University has developed, we hope is indeed systemic, comprehensive, replicable, and generic, and we would love to explore the ways that the case study from Vanuatu could indeed be applied elsewhere. So I think I did that in well under my 8 minutes. Thank you.
Well, we seem to all be doing fantastic this morning. Let's now put our hands together and welcome the country director for the UNDP, who will do the third presentation. Okay, the floor is yours.
So today I'm going to talk about the Youth Connect Hangout, with a focus on creating also mobile applications to address some of the social economic problems that we face in Rwanda. I hope you all know what a hangout really is, but maybe just to give you a bit of context first. Now the problem is I can't read it myself, but first of all, Rwanda's Vision 2020, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, is giving some key targets and indicators that are important for the hangouts. For example, when you look at the base of the economy, which is still very much agricultural based, if you look at the, for example, the number of farms, this is a target of 200,000. When you look at that, the fact that 65% or 64% of Rwandans are still under 35, you can see that, you know, the issue of employment and entrepreneurship is a very important thing. Now, employment in Rwanda necessarily is not that high, but if you look at underemployment, people being idle, this is a big number. Up to 70% of Rwandan's youth are idle or underemployed, rather. If you look at the National Development Program, the EDPRS2, there's a number of, it has tricks, as you can see. Yeah. It has a number of key components there. You can see that particularly when we talk about employment, the key sector here is productivity, youth employment. It is divided up into 4 major areas. We talk about skills and attitudes, technology and ICT, labor market interventions, and entrepreneurship and business development. Now, from the UN side, we have aligned ourselves to these targets through what we call the UNDAP, which is the United Nations Development Assistance Plan. It has the same time frame as the EDPRS. And of course, we're also supporting employment and entrepreneurship, which I will focus on in the next slide, if this can work. Yeah. So from the UN side, we've signed with the government the national youth and women employment program. It supports off-farm job creation. And if you look at the budget, it's roughly 30 million. We just started the implementation. So basically what I'm trying to say here that the support we provide to Youth Connect is under this umbrella, okay? So moving forward to the next slide. What is Youth Connect really? So what was trying to be conveyed in the movie that you just saw, we're talking here about a virtual platform that is connecting the youth with leaders, with opportunities and partnerships to provide those employment and entrepreneurship opportunities to the youth themselves. So like also this, I have to go faster? Okay. So it's creating, like I said, it's creating connections between young people and the opportunities that are out there, particularly with the private sector. I will talk a little bit faster because otherwise we run out of time. The platform, the Hangouts, are supported by a website where you can find all the information that is talked about also at the during the Hangouts. So there are three major components under this hanging. One is about capacity development, the second is about partnerships, and the third is about communication. You can read for yourself quickly since I have to move fast on this. So the Hangouts, basically what we do, we discuss topics amongst the, usually it's like a panel, and the panel discussions are live streamed to an audience, and usually we make sure that the audience, consisting or comprising of youth, are connected to these discussions online and also can provide feedback, so it's an interactive mechanism. So you see here some pictures of how that works. So in terms of topics, it's mainly geared towards entrepreneurship opportunities and towards employment opportunities. Some of the business competitions we've done, I just want to connect it to some of the mobile apps. In the movie, we're also talking about the Miss Geek competition. So this was a competition specifically for girls in ICT to come up with mobile apps that could be developed by a private company. So here is a picture of the winners, and the winner on the left-hand side, she came up with a mobile cow project. If people are interested, I can explain more about it after. A second mobile, another mobile app competition we did is with the support of Motorola. Here you see also a winner who had a mobile app on billing, an e-billing management system. And one mobile app competition which is still ongoing is about improving public service delivery. So we're still doing a competition. For that, it's not finished yet. Here you see some pictures of the initial launch of the event, which is supported also by Tigo, as you can see. So just quickly, you can see some of the results. We worked with a lot of young people, supported by a lot of new companies, and a lot of new off-farms have been created. This is a connection to the movie I just showed you, and then just quickly the final slide. Yeah. So these are the 4 points I want to make. One, to move it forward, we want to ensure that the Hangouts are more strongly supported by the website and social media, and that they're directly connecting youth to those opportunities that are out there for employment and entrepreneurship. The second point I wanted to make is to make sure that we strengthen partnerships between Youth Connect and the private sector, because at the end of the day, that's where these opportunities lie, with a view to narrowing that gap between the supply and demand at the labor market. The third point is about awareness creation, to make sure that we brand Youth Connect correctly, and we also came to the conclusion that the online presence is not enough. You have to go beyond that and make sure that Youth Connect also connects the young people at face-to-face events, like for example roadshows and radio and TV, because Rwanda is also having, the internet connection for a lot of people is still an issue. And the final point I wanted to make on this is that we got to keep a focus on information and technology. I get the red card, but it's very good because it's also the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for barely surviving the red card. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now welcome Dominique, who will deliver the fourth and last presentation this morning, which is on smart farming with smartphones. Dominique, the floor is yours.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dominique. And before I start my presentation, I would like to thank very much Professor Tim give me an opportunity to come and present my idea. My idea is all about toward smart farming using smartphones for local farmers in Rwanda. The agriculture sector is considered as a backbone of the Rwandan economy. It will contribute a lot to the national GDP of the country and employs more than 80% of the total population of the country. However, this sector is still characterized by a lack of modern farming technologies application, which is an essential tool for agricultural development in the 21st century. Two challenges for farmers. One is mastering and applying new digital technology devices, such as smartphones or tablets, and also shortage of skills and qualified professionals in the use of smartphones and geoinformation or Earth observation to empower farmers on how to collect and analyze crop data. But we have solutions, actually. The government of Rwanda has established ICT infrastructures, and also we have some telecommunication facilities already established. We have optical fiber, we have internet data center, we have wireless broadband, we have broadband internet, we have telecommunication companies, MTN, Tigo, and Airtel, with 60% penetration in the country, and also as well we have 4G LTE. All these contribute to the project where Smart Farming Rwanda Limited, we take advantage of those above infrastructures to empower local farmers with new digital technology in their daily farming activities. Our vision is just to be a leading company employing smartphones application, geoinformation, Earth observation, related technologies to improve and manage crop productivity and improving food security in Rwanda. Our vision is to power farmers through providing standard smartphones. Sorry, I missed the, okay, yeah, it's fine. Standard smartphones related application to modernize their farming activities. Right. Yeah. It's all about data collection, either by farmers or by the company or by partners. As you can see, we have a user case diagram that highlighting different types of data we need to collect from the field. And the company will be busy with land cover maps, land use maps, rainfall data, area suitable for maize and Irish potatoes. Those are our first priorities, crops we identified at the first time. Soil and land quality. For farmers, we conducted a pilot study in the northern province of Rwanda with one cooperatives, and we realized that identifying crops disease can be done by farmers. Show and determine types or cages of fertilizers. Also, these can be done by farmers. To show high humidity data, this can be also done by farmers. Determining prices and also search for market, these also can be done by farmers. This is the contribution of the company and also contribution of the farmers in the database, and also to update timely the data collected. This will be a task of the company and also the Ruhengeri Institute of Applied Sciences that has a relevant department in the specified field. Of observation data, satellite scanners collect all sorts of data from the Earth's surface, and all those data are freely available, most of them. So we can use them just for this project. Yeah, thank you. And just to transfer very fast, this is the diagram that you're highlighting the interconnection and the linkages or flow information between company, partners, and the farmers. As you can see, we have Earth observation and remote sensing data at the top. And also you see we have the institution, Ruhengeri Institute of Applied Sciences, that we just contribute to data acquiring of satellite images and also Earth observation or remote sensing data. There will be trainings collaboratively with the company to farmers on how to collect data. I have specified in the previous slides. And also farmers will be busy with the field collecting some relevant data based on their knowledge. Currently we have one partner for this project, NAFIC, that now is involved in this project. The product the product or services we are offering now is short and long-term training on the use of smartphone applications to collect field data on maize and Irish potatoes, and also short or long-term training on the use of geoinformation and Earth observation data to analyze crops, maize and Irish potatoes. For institution, we are looking for collaboration, either in terms of research, consultants with academic institutions in the use of geoinformation, smartphone, and Earth observation related field. Our expectation, we are looking forward at least to train 200 farmers on the use of smartphones application in the next, at least in the next 2 years period. And currently we have 3 trained students from Utrecht University in the Netherlands that are now part of the project. We expect at least to have 10 lecturers from the institution in Ruhengeri to participate in the training and research activities in this project. And also we expect more than 100 students from the institution we are now partnering with to benefit from research and trainings activities offered by the company in collaboration with partners. Sustainability of this project, yeah, you can do like this. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, for the next slide, please. Next. Yeah, you can be on sustainability. Okay. Sustainability. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. We rely on access to the database and also access to research findings, output, and publication. We just elaborate in collaboration with our partners, and also rent of our equipments, technical assistant, advisory, and consultant services. Next slide, please. And we are targeting some partners based on our objectives and mission, such as Rwanda Agriculture Board, Ministry of Agriculture and its partners, Ministry of Youth and ICT. We have Farmers Association, Kinga Volcano Seed Promotion. This is the company we conducted a pilot study together in Northern Province, close to Volcanoes National Park. And we have Rugagimbaraga. Academic institutions so far, we have Ruhengeri Institute of Higher Education, University of Rwanda, and University of Twente. A regional integration, we have CTO. We are trying just to contact the CTO, and also FAO, UNDP, and NAFIC. We are looking forward to contact them for this particular project. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Well, thank you very much, Dominique. I thought I would start to practice on you on flashing the red card. I've never been a referee. So this is the first time I have to try, and I hope I don't mix them up. So anyhow, we thank very much the 4 presenters, and I'll ask them right now to come up to stage. We're going to go into the second part of this session, which is the panel discussion. So let me ask the 4 presenters to, and I'll also ask Pacific Kawanda from Tigo, who will also be part of the panel discussion. Okay, so we have approximately 40 minutes for this panel discussion, and I think this is probably going to be the best part of the session because it's going to be interactive, and we have a chance to not only ask questions but also make contributions on this subject. So the objective of the panel discussion is to look at mobile phones for good governance. What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? Before we get into the discussion, I'd like to recognize the Honorable Ministers of ICT, Honorable Tarsis from Burundi, and Honorable Tembo from Uganda. We thank you very much for making time to be with us in this session. And although the CEO of Rwanda Governance Board is up for the next session, I'd like to also recognize and thank him for being here for this session. Yesterday, the Honorable Minister of ICT for Rwanda said that e-governance or e-government, that government is much longer than the E. So it's more about the governance than the E. So I'm hoping to get some contributions from you as we get into the discussion. Now, just to set the stage, I'd like to start with a very basic question. And I think I'll put Tim on the spot. But Tim, don't worry, it's a very easy one. And for all the panelists, I'll ask that you permit me to call you on a first name basis. I think it will make the conversation much easier and much more friendly. So, Tim, what is so compelling about bringing the M into the e-governance? In other words, what do we miss if we do not have the M and we just stick with the E?
Okay, I'm actually not sure a great deal. That is to say, we're recognizing that what used to be everything is now flowing into mobile, particularly in Africa. That if we don't include a mobile dimension, we're going to be missing out, particularly some of the poorer, more marginalized people. I'm looking forward to the day when everybody has a mobile smartphone. As I mentioned yesterday, down to maybe $30 for a handset. If we can get connectivity to, as we're hearing in rural areas, that will be the vehicle through which people interact. And that's a subset of some wider e-gov issues. But what can be done on these is amazing. And the interactivity, I would just draw attention to sort of 3 exciting apps. I don't think we've begun to explore how innovative and ground-changing the use of mobile devices in governance actually can be. Things like, I don't know how many people have heard of My Society, Poplus, AppGree. Okay, if you're on Twitter, I've just tweeted about them. But if you want to go and look at those, and you can see some of the incredible things that can happen. So we even to the extent of getting rid of parliamentary democracy and everybody actually engaging on their mobile device, reaching decisions as a community. That's a very far-fetched view, but I think those are the sorts of things we do need to be thinking about in the future in terms of how mobiles are going to disrupt completely traditional forms of governance.
Wow, a future without parliaments. I think that's quite incredible. I'd like to bring Pacific from Tigo into the conversation, since he's the only one on the panel who didn't do a presentation. We had a debate yesterday as to whether Africa is leapfrogging or not. And then we came to the conclusion that we can qualify that the mobile revolution in Africa is a leapfrog. We kind of jumped to the mobile stage without having adequate fixed line infrastructure and telecoms. Pacific, what is so compelling about the M? No marketing. What is so compelling about the M in governance?
Thank you. The M is more about the access. The government can invest a lot to build up a content, to have infrastructures, but the people need to access the available information, and the M brings the access. And also, from some time back, it was also a problem of the costs of the M access. And now, as we are going forwards and more people are using the M to access the information, we are seeing that the costs of the mobile handsets is going down, so people can use the smartphone to access the information and also get alerts, access the information, and also access the services. So I think the mobile is crucial at this time, at this point of time. And also, when you look at the other side of e-governments, there is communication between the partners, and they need to interact via the M. So the M, at this point of time, is crucial. We cannot miss it if you need a real e-governance, a more sustainable and with a future.
Thank you very much. The most efficient and quickest way to reach the citizens is via their mobile phones. For a lot of our citizens in Africa, the only piece of technology they have access to is a very basic phone. And so that becomes very compelling to drive services, government services, to mobile platforms. I'd like to bring Olusegun into this conversation. Thank you for a wonderful presentation and the work you're doing, especially pushing social media. My simple question is, what are the key challenges you're meeting, and what is the one thing that could shift everything you're doing to a whole new level?
Thank you. If I look at the challenges are in the two ways. One is about how are you going to keep the attention of citizens focused on the issues of governance. You understand that people are trying to make livelihood, and so you must creatively think of ways to present this information or to make it of less burden to them. So that's always very, very important. And mobile can always easily do that. Like the person from, we found out that mobile is strong enough to make people, because people are more attached to mobile devices going forward. So if we can bring in the governance or issues of governance in that space, is very important. The second thing is about public institutions. So if people get that sense of feeling that this would not work, this is not going to change anything, there's a situation that they might be excited at the beginning when they start using these applications. But as things begin to go on, they decide to just dump it. So most importantly, we also think about how do we complete the cycle? How do we close the loop? How do we go beyond when you just give people access to information to the point where they can get back to the institutions? And when they get back to the institutions, they can get some sense of response. And this all ties into the idea of how transparency should lead to accountability, and which you can find citizen participation in between the nexus. So I think one of the things that can scale this or can take us boom or go further is viral adoption, and which is has come through continuous citizen education, and to make people not see government or public funds as something that is far off from them, but something that they truly own and also part of the stakeholders in the environment. So when we can bring people to that level of thinking, and everybody is on that page that we need to hold government accountable on all levels, then we get people begin to use us government solutions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. One thing I've seen that has made a big difference in Rwanda is the fact that the top government leadership is on social media. So if you have a president who tweets and you have ministers and heads of institutions, then it brings more value, because when people tweet, it triggers action. So maybe you need to mobilize the government people in Nigeria to be. I'd like to to open up the floor. People who have some questions. I see right at the back. Let's start right at the back. You tell us who you are and make your contribution.
Good day. My name is Emeka Nama from Nigeria, NCC, Nigerian Communications Commission, Abuja. I would like to ask my brother a question.
Please bring the microphone closer to...
My brother from Nigeria, the budget 8, the MD to budget 8. My question is, what do you do in a situation when budgeted projects by the government never existed? Do you take the government to court? Do you excite the community against the government? Do you revert to government to complete the project? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take another one. Please take note. You respond in a moment. Yes. Let's have a microphone somewhere in the middle of the stage there.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. My name is Peter. I'm being here from the Telecommunications Regulatory Board of Cameroon. I have 3 questions. My first question goes to my closest neighbor from Nigeria. You did mention that something about the level of oil usage in Nigeria. I wanted to find out from you if you have a procedure for determining the quantity of oil left below the Nigerian soil. If you do have such a procedure, I wanted to know when will the oil in Nigeria finish? That's the first question. My second question goes to Tim. You did mention that the methodology for mobile governance for development was generic. I wanted to find out from you, how do you tie the 8 or 9 themes that you presented using the principles of good governance to obtain that methodology? If you could just say a few words about it, how you tie that, it will help us. And my last question goes to Dominique. You presented a vision statement and a mission and a couple of goals and targets to be met within a particular time frame, I think 2025. And you also mentioned that you're targeting the training of 200 farmers within a period of 2 years. I was just wondering, given the targets and the goals which you've set for 2025, and training only 200 farmers within a period of 2 years, will you be able to meet the targets? Thank you very much. Those are the questions I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay, so can we take one more and then we'll... Yes, right here in the middle.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, just a comment. I'm Mr. Massima from ITU, and I would like to make 2 points as we're speaking of M application. ITU has launched what we call the Empowering Development Initiative, and I know I have someone more qualified to speak of it, as Tim is a member of the advisory board of this initiative launched by ITU. The purpose of this initiative is to harness mobile networks in health, education, agriculture, but I will insist on the creation of synergies to cross-fertilize the experience and avoid duplication. And for that, I will call my colleague from UNDP to say that, okay, we have in ITU a worldwide web page on the ICT resource for youth employment and entrepreneurship. And if you go even inside, you will find for Rwanda so many resources to try to fund this youth entrepreneurship. I can give example the Acumen Fund, Ascent Africa, K-Lab, Rwanda SMA Portal, Young African Leaders Initiatives, and so on. And I think it's worth trying to cross-fertilize this action from UNDP with the other agencies and to be visible in this website in order for these young people and the young entrepreneurs and to go there and find more opportunities and to try to help creation of startups and other. So I thank you very much, but I think Tim will speak on that for 1 or 2 minutes, because this is, you can gather and exchange experience within other region of the world and not limited to one country or one region. So you can see what progress has been made in the other regions and take the good example and the best practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually brought us something that I was going to ask Ake in a short while. How can we take this global? I think that's the question I wanted to ask. And I think it links to what he's just mentioned. So let's ask Olusegun to start, then we'll go with Tim, I think Dominique next, and then, okay, in that order. Olusegun?
Okay, good. So the first question from my fellow Nigerian, and it's about what do you do in that case? I don't think the word insight, I don't agree to the word insight. You can't actually incite citizens. Because when you talk about insight, you're trying to tie into violence. What we do most times to educate citizens that, oh, there's a project in your area that's been in the budget, or there's an allocation for this project in your area. You can go ahead and talk to your MP, talk to your legislature about it, and ensure that this project gets done. Some things also we do is write letters directly to the legislators. We do that with Tracker enough. And we've got 5 projects, constituency projects, were finally built based on that platform. Going to court has always been the last option for solutions like this, because you also want to explore the conciliatory approach where we all discuss this and ensure that this is gotten. Because when you get to that confrontational mode, you may not have the resources to sustain it, and also it becomes very distracting. So most of the time we continuously make sure that we use that window of dialogue to ensure that this project gets done. The second thing, the question is about the procedure of measuring when the Nigerian oil is going to finish. So what we used was based on proven oil reserves as published by government. So I know they're still unproven reserves and they have still not been explored or yet to be found out. But right now Nigeria has 37 billion barrels of oil reserves, and if we explore that 2 million barrels per day, we'll finish it in close to 50 years. But who knows, we might find some new fields again, and we might basically make that adjustment. We're doing something very soon in Ghana with the resource governance, and also they like the site, and they want us to replicate the same thing for Ghana. So possibly by May, we should also come around to Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Peter, I'm not sure I heard your question 100% correctly, but were you asking how the 8 principles of data protection are included in the Vanuatu case study? Because I think you mentioned 8 principles of good governance, and there are a whole range of different good governance models out there, and that the purpose of the exercise was actually to draw on a range of these to provide a solution that was most appropriate for the people of Vanuatu in what they wanted to do. And that leads into my answer to the second observation, really, about the Empowering Development Board. Thank you very much for that, because it gives me an opportunity to actually
explore some of the really difficult issues about the international development arena. You're absolutely right that one of the outcomes was that there are far too many unjoined up projects at different scales. So within governments, very often the Ministry of Health doesn't talk to the Ministry of Education, doesn't talk to the Ministry of ICTs, doesn't talk to the Ministry of Infrastructure. And that means that there's a logjam in actually moving initiatives forward. But the same also applies in international organizations. And on a bad night, I wake up and feel that most international donor-led projects fail, in the sense that they don't become sustainable. Because people offer, oh, we've got this great project, would you like it? And people say yes. And then when the money dries up, it isn't sustainable. So they move on to the next great project that somebody from a different donor is offering, be it DFID, be it CEDA, be it UNDP, be it ITU, whoever it is. And I think there is a real challenge in externally led ICT initiatives. And that's why the role of the private sector, it seems to me, is so critically important. Because successful private sector companies know how to make businesses work. They know how to make things sustainable. And I've often said before, actually, you don't want to be working with the corporate social responsibility part of a private sector company, because that doesn't always have the business-led agendas and motives to make things successful. So you're absolutely right about the need for greater coordination. And one of the things we tried to do, I led the education part of the Empowering Development Initiative. And the first stage of that was just to see how many examples of good practice there are out there, who is doing what. And it's remarkable how very few inventories of everything that is being done are out there. And that's something the CTOs tried to do in our priority areas. We identify, if anyone's interested, these are the top 20 websites you should go to. These are the top 20 things you should read. These are the top 20 mobile apps. And we have teams who look at those and develop them and make sure they're there, just to try and simplify. But your call for greater international collaboration is critically important. My final point on this is it has to be led by countries. Far too often donors of whatever complexion, they say, oh, we'd like to offer you this, and it's very difficult for a government to say no. I would much prefer to see that turned around the other way, for actually this to be government and people led, and they tell us what they want, and then we support that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, team. I think Dominique will go next.
Yeah, thank you very much. I got a question if we will be able to train 200 farmers within 2 years period. Yeah, we will do, because we conducted a pilot study with one cooperative in the Musanze district. It was last year. They have 320 members. And according to the situation when we were conducting this pilot study, there were 15 members. Among them, 20 had smartphones, and we tried just to train them to see how fast they can collect the data, how fast they can run, and we extrapolate together with some facilities available, such as Earth observation data student we have at the Hungarian Institute of Higher Education, and we realized that if we train 20 students from our university, they will be future trainers of the local farmers that we help us just to target or to reach 200 farmers within 2 years period. And it's all actually about collaboration, because first the priority is for farmers. If they are really interested in this, we can even reach more bigger number than this. And I have even one leader from the cooperative here present. He can testimony this, and we will also look at other associations, because this is one cooperative, and we have other cooperatives like Urugaga Imbaraga is one of the cooperatives that are well structured, well organized, that we really understand these new techniques. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, and also thank you to the colleague from ITU for the suggestion of proposal. I think I'd like to see Youth Connect as a house with this very strong foundation and a good roof that keeps the rain out, which is very important in Rwanda. But at the same time, inside there's still a lot of work to be done, which also includes the website. And I think this idea of reaching out to other platforms where information is stored, because I think it's also important to realize that when it comes down to job opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities, doesn't necessarily have to be in Rwanda. You know, we know that Rwanda is very densely populated, so sometimes also opportunities lie outside. So that's an important consideration as well, I think. So here, I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and I think the suggestions are very welcome and will be taken on board. I think when it comes to the second point, in terms of how do you scale that up, how do you make it global or African, if you like,
yes.
I think the first thing to say is that the major challenges that we're facing here in Rwanda in terms of the large youth bulge, the fact that the economy is still not able to absorb all the people who are leaving school, and therefore entrepreneurship becomes very important. I mean, this is not a Rwandan problem. This is way beyond the borders. So I have to say that when we launched this movie and the idea and all that, both the Ministry of Youth and ICT and myself, we were at UNDP, we got so many requests from other countries to come and explain how that could work in their country. You know, there's really a huge interest because many of the countries, they are facing the same issues. So I think one, it takes a bit more to make it more robust here in Rwanda. I think secondly also, I think before we have ambitions to bring it over the border, because we want to bring a good product. But I think it has a lot of potential. I think it's branded well, and it is a very sort of low budget solution to a very big problem that many people are facing, and therefore it becomes very attractive to other countries as well. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Absolutely, and this is an Africa forum, so I think it would be useful for our colleagues to see how this could also extend to their countries. I'd like to shift the conversation towards the desired outcomes of this discussion, which is what are the key challenges and the key opportunities. And I'd like to put Professor Shaka on the spot, since I had warned you earlier. Professor Shaka is one of the smartest people that I know, and he leads the Rwanda Governance Board. What do you see as the key challenges as we envision bringing M into the governance space? What do you see as the key challenges? And any other ideas that you might have for our discussion this morning?
Am I allowed to seek support from my panel?
Absolutely. You can redirect, you can reframe the question.
No, I think that M brings in more opportunities than challenges, actually, from my perspective. Okay. And you can believe me, although I'm speaking from a perspective of a BBC, an old man who do not know how to use those things, but it brings in more opportunities than challenges. But one of the challenges might be most likely a generational issue. Those 70% are people who have ease of using the M's, but we, the 30%, probably say, how do we go about this? But the other challenge might be also with regard to the significance and importance of direct engagements. When you bring in the M's, does it imply that you reduce the direct contact? Does it imply that they are supplementing them? If it is about supplementing them, probably it's more opportunity than, but if it is about replacing them, probably we might have some challenges of having a name democracy. And I'm afraid that at some point you have also M people. So you don't see them, but you see their gadgets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, the generation issue could be that you have the people in the government side of the discussion being in that bracket that is not, that is the born before computer, born before mobile. Mobile is even much more recent. While the majority of the youth are actually the ones that are all on the M. And maybe there's a need to create that connection and make sure there's a bridge. I wanted to bring back the issue of sustainability, which came up earlier in the conversation. How big an issue is sustainability as we look at M government solutions? Okay, if you have some ideas, you're in the business of development.
Well, I think Red Tim also spoke at length to this issue of sustainability. And I think, what is, that goes both from development projects, but I think also from the private sector at the same time. We can launch many things, but if there's no profitability associated with it, also that business project will die as well. So I think it is a critical element in the business proposition, whether it is a development project or a business project. And therefore, the solutions that are being proposed, it can be anything, at the end of the day have to be footed on sustainable, particularly financial basis. Maybe if I can go a little bit more in detail on what I mean. For example, we want, like I was saying in my presentation, we want to introduce a mobile app that deals with improving public service delivery. Now, this sounds very good, but at the same time it has a lot of challenges because, first of all, how many people really have a phone? How many people do really have a smartphone? And how many people are really willing, at the end of the day, to participate in that so that, at the end of the day, these services can be improved. If you take the figures in Rwanda, I think, roughly there is a mobile phone penetration rate of 70%. My colleague from Tico can say yes or no, but I think it's around that. I think the share of smartphones is relatively low. The companies don't want to say exactly how many, but it's low. That's what I know. So then the solution that you want to provide also have to take into account the current situation, despite the fact that the country is full of fiber optic cables. We have a 4G network, but at the same time, if people are only using very simple phones, where the only way of, for example, rating a public service is through an SMS or a kind of simple technology, you have to take that into account. Otherwise, if you base your technology on smartphones, it may does not work. So what I'm trying to say with this example is that it's not only a question of financial sustainability, which is of course a key priority, but it's also you have to look for technological solutions that are fitting in the market of today. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to start it up and have it rolled out over the country.
Tim, you seem to agree, or you wanted to share something on that?
Yeah, I was just to make sure everyone knew which my phone was. This one of the best sustainable, long-lasting battery. I'd like to just pick up on a couple of things. Certainly on this sustainability theme, I really do think we need to think about the sustainability of the whole system, from the hardware, software. I mean, we had the discussion before about how often we replace our mobile devices. What happens to them? Just the whole system of having to get you a new phone because it's got, you need new software on it. Yes, you're absolutely right. I cannot run all sorts of exciting apps on that. The generational issue I'd like to pick up on. Hey, I'm almost 60. I tweet. And I think there is a bit of a myth out there, and the more we talk about a generational issue, the more we actually make older people think that they can't use the devices. So I would like us to have a complete reconceptualization. Hey, yes, I was born before computers, but at the same time, I'm now actually part of them. They're owning me. And I think you're absolutely right. I want us to discuss more over the rest of the time we've got here. Yeah, it is really scary for governments to think if everybody is tweeting about them, everybody is sending messages to them on their mobile device, it's completely impossible for governments to respond to all of that. That is actually the key issue in terms of how we grapple with new governance structures. Now, we can have apps like AppGree, which can aggregate and actually produce automated results almost from lots of different people, and then ministers can look at those and explore those. But you know, if you, as a government department, don't reply to the hundreds of thousands of text messages that are coming into you, you're not going to be seen as being a very good government department, even though actually you could be delivering. So these are the really difficult issues that every government has to address head on, and communities and people as well, in terms of how we're going to see mobile devices shaping and being shaped by governments.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'd like to bring back Pacific because I think this is of interest to him, not only looking at the challenges but also the opportunities. And let me just say, my mother is 69 and she actually is on WhatsApp. She sends messages and I see messages when she's out on the farm.
So maybe we should set up some kind of, you know, more mature people's world of using digital devices. And, you know, you're all going to be there. You know, we're all going to have to keep ahead of it in the future as well.
I haven't gotten to get my father to actually be on this. I haven't succeeded. He's of course older. But if my mother at 69 can do that, I'm sure other people can. I'd like to bring Pacific into this conversation. Pacific?
Yes. I think the sustainability of this is by the way we are building an ecosystem. We are building the private sector, our agents, people who are selling the services. We build a future for the mobile. And by building the future for the mobile, we are also building also the value-added services, which goes with the mobile people care in his hands. So by building that, we also develop the community. Developing the community is also bringing the service to them and showing them the usage, connects them to the data, connect them to the platform which are available. And then I'm talking here about some of the services which are offered by Tigo, which are not related to the smartphone, which are only like Edumi. It's an English education platform which you can access without a smartphone. You just need to have star 455H, and you can access the platform and get courses of English. That's build up the education part of the community. We also have that interaction with government institutions, because when you look at the districts have a group of services they are giving to the community. By putting them in a closed user group, a CUG, you make the person in charge of education in direct link with the one in charge of security and health, so they can talk within them without a smartphone, just using the basic service of communication, and you foster the services. So we build that base, and when you look at now the services on like mobile finances, the MFS services are also not requiring a smartphone. You just need to have basic phone, and using a USSD, you can access the services. So I think, yes, we need that smartphone to access more.
If you need to wrap up comments, yeah, please.
Yes, to wrap up, I think the challenge is still, again, an opportunity, because we need to access more people, and this challenge, which was education, make people more literate, make people having the easy access to the information. That will be, I think, the challenge we need to face and elevate. I think that's the main challenge. It's education, and we are working on it hand in hand with the government.
Okay, something that we, down to the last 10 minutes, I wanted to kind of bring this sustainability issue to some kind of close, because I think it's very important. We have two ministers in the room, and they shape policy in their countries. And I think as we think about M-government services, sustainability is a real issue. If I look at the case of Rwanda, we've done quite a bit of work on mobile-based services. In some of the sectors, for example, health, significant applications have been done. And one of the issues that we've been working through is how to make this sustainable, especially in sectors such as health that sometimes require business models that are not the usual. You know, the social sector, you're talking of education, talking of health, talking of... So I don't know if Honorable Tembo has any thought on this subject, but I think as we think of shaping policy towards services, definitely sustainability is a crucial issue. I'll, yeah, if maybe somebody can, I put you on the spot, but I like to bring, can we have the microphone in front? And I like to ask Aline to maybe come closer here, since I'll be handing over to her very soon, but also ask her to take the microphone in a moment.
Thank you. I think you're right, sustainability is very, very critical. Government is known not to be good at doing particular things. And now all of us know the core business of government. The core business of government really should be putting up those infrastructure that can't be put up by the private sector, looking at the regulations and legal framework, looking at the policies, regulatory matters. But when it comes to delivery of operational issues, because online service delivery is a highly operational issues and sometimes is very micro. When it comes to such issues, governments are known not to be very good at doing such. So a sustainable model where we can go into a PPP, to me, would be very, very effective. The private sector can come in, then government will concentrate on what they do best, what we do best, and then the private sector also can concentrate on what they do best. That one, to me, would be very sustainable. But if government involve themselves in the macro and again in the micro aspects of online operational issues, you can be rest assured that we will not achieve what we should be able to achieve. Probably my colleague. Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Government doing what it's best at doing and leaving the private sector to do what they are best at doing. I'd like to take two more comments from the public, and after that, I'll ask Aline to prepare to make a comment. I think it was Ake who mentioned the need to look at the platforms that we're putting in place, and I know Rwanda Online is such a platform. And two questions for you. One is, how do you envision the future of the M in line with to Rwanda Online? And number two, what are the opportunities?
Yes, thank you. I think when we are speaking of sustainability, we should start by simple applications. You know, don't invent software are very difficult to elaborate, to maintain, and there is a cost beyond all that. But start by simple applications, and after you develop the know-how, and then we can speak of sustainability. Because if you take into consideration what we call the digital convergence now, we are all now migrating to digital broadcasting, which is opening new opportunities, new stakeholders in terms of e-learning, education, e-governance, whatever you want. But we need people to develop such applications in all these layers and so on. But start with simple applications, agreed by everyone. And after we will see, we will leverage easily and we will become in what we call a new society, digital society, but each of us can play his role. Okay. So private, public-private partnership, that's okay, but also try to make public campaigns to inform the people for them to be able to use all these tools.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor at the back, and let's keep the comment to 1 minute. right at the back. After Professor, I'll take the last one from somewhere in the middle there. That will be the last one. Oh my goodness,
yes.
Becoming interesting.
Thanks very much,
hands. Okay, 1 minute.
Mr. Moderator, Bob Akello is my name. I'd like to address myself to two issues. One is the Stone Age people, Professor Tim Irwin talked about. We are not analog. I'm now 69, going 70. I'm very digital. And let no young person pretend that it's more digital.
Very good.
Having said that, sustainability is an issue. We buy equipment and we have an up-down approach. Shockley, Bargin, and Britain, who discovered the transistor, regretted one thing, that we make a lot of noise from our own transistors. Let us talk and walk the talk. In Africa, we talk too much. There's too much documentation. The United Nations, this is an address to you, ITU. Let us talk less, put less on paper, and move. EACO. Let us move. We are with it, and we are going to surpass anybody else in the whole world. I'm saying this because in the afternoon probably I'll address myself to the issue. Let us not be so hopeless that Africa is lagging behind. Empires came and went. Greek, Aristotle, name them, came, Archimedes. And therefore, I have hope. But for sustainability, we would like to jog our governments. And I'm happy about what Minister Thembo said. Government should do what it knows how to do best and give a chance to the youth to do what they can do best. And they are growing in this age which is digital, and we'll jog them to drive Africa because they're the majority. 70% of our population in Africa is the youth. And in Rwanda, I congratulate Rwanda for that issue. They are jogging the youth.
Professor, I need to look at my card. Eh?
Thank you. That's great. Now, sustainability is on, and I do believe that we can sustain and grow the issue to do with E and M issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Let's take, I think I'll reduce it to 30 seconds. Right in the middle of the microphone, right in the middle there, somebody who hasn't contributed. And then I'll have the lady, unfortunately, will have to stop there. I see more hands coming up, but time is no longer.
Thank you. I'll keep it to 30 seconds. My name is
30 seconds.
Bob. I work for the Internet Corporation for Assign Names and Numbers. In 30 seconds, one issue I want to bring up is for sustainability, then you have to look at standards. If the Ministry of Immigration, for example, is collecting my registration details, and you leave my telephone or my email out of that data, then it means that tomorrow, if Youth Connect is looking for personal details of potential employees, then they'll find your data missing important gaps. And then they'll go over the process of collecting information again. So yesterday we were saying, can ICT increase or reduce costs? If every project is going to collect new data, that is including cost, or standard is important. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you made your point. It's always good to have the last one from the lady in red. I think I saw a hand somewhere. And 30 seconds, so I don't have to flash my red card again.
Thank you. My name is Hafsa. I work with budgets from Nigeria. This question is for the gentleman who spoke about smart farming. I'm quite interested in that concept because of agriculture in Nigeria it was the main source of revenue, but at the moment it's dying, and we'd like to improve on it. So I'd like to know more about that smart farming. Most of the farmers in Nigeria are from the rural areas, and obviously they have very little network, very little connection in the rural areas. So how do you then, I don't know if it's the same in Rwanda. Is it the same thing in Rwanda? And how do you introduce them to the use of the smartphones? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yes, I think I'll spare Dominique
Okay.
We're going into a coffee break. It will be the perfect networking discussion to have.
Thank you.
Thank you for raising it.
Yeah, thank you.
Aline, 1 minute. Yeah, we'll do that over coffee. Unfortunately, we have to, yeah. Yeah, please.
Thank you. My name is Aline Kawatende, and I am the CEO of Rwanda Online, which is a company that's digitizing all government services. So the question was, what is our vision for M-Government? And maybe because I have only 1 minute, Rwanda Online, we're looking at, so when we're looking at services, we say, what are the services that we can actually put on mobile? Because not all services can be put on mobile because of a number of constraints such as security. But for the services that we can put on mobile, we shall put on mobile just to increase accessibility to all citizens. In terms of opportunities, there are actually a number of companies that have applications whereby you can use USSD to access data services. So I can actually access my email using a feature phone using USSD. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there because for the services where we're constrained to putting things on the internet, we can create that link for people who can't afford smartphones, and they can use a feature phone, use USSD to access those services. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and I hope that more Rwandan companies can use those opportunities. I think my minute.
Yes, I think it's over. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all our panelists. Thank you very much for all your contributions. Once again, appreciate the opportunity to chair this session, and hand over to Aline, who will tell us what will happen next. Aline, the floor is yours. And I also hand over the yellow and the red cards to you.
Thank you. I've never played soccer, but it feels good to referee using the cards. So thank you very much, Patrick, and all the panelists for a very engaging session. You did very well on time, and we learned a lot from the audience. I'm looking forward to more engaging sessions for the rest of the day. So the next session is E-Democracy and Governmental Development, which shall be led by Professor Shaka from the Rwanda Governance Board. But before that, we shall have a short coffee break and come back into the room at 11:15. So we have about 18 minutes to get some rest and stretch our legs. Once again, thank you very much, Patrick. Patrick is the DG of the regulatory body, as I mentioned. He has extensive experience at RDB IT. He was there in serving in a number of strategic roles. He has also advised our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, with regards to a number of strategic IT projects. So thank you very much, Patrick. You led this session very, very exceptionally well. Thank you very much, our panelists. You can come down now.